Try it. Saturday, Sunday. If he died on Friday, you understand, you count 2 days from Friday. The next day is Saturday. The next day would be Sunday. We're going to go into that further also. There's a reason why it falls every year on Friday, Good Friday, and we celebrate the goddess Astar's sun on Sunday, or the worshiping of the sun on that Sunday. We're going to show you. You're going to find that these teachings are so further away from Christ, they have nothing to do with God or Christ, and have no Bible backing. Now, here's a book. It's out of print now, and it's called The Two Babylons and the Worship Proved to be the Worship of Nimrod and His Wife by Alexander Hislop. And this book was compiled in 1932. Okay? And in this book, what Alexander Hislop attempted to do with a lot of references is to reference the modern Western world teachings of Christianity and parallel them with the ancient teachings of Egypt and Babylon, to let you know that the worship we're doing in the Western world in America have nothing to do with the Israelites or Jesus Christ. They were purposely set in the church, the papal church. They were purposely set with the authority to bring forth the same teachings of ancient Babylon. They was purposely set with the authority to bring in the new teachings of ancient Babylon and ancient Egypt. I'm going to read some passages out of this, and I'm going to show you if you can pan in on some of these images. I'm going to show you some of these images, and we're going to show you first where the egg come in. I want you to go and pan in on the egg to my right, to your left. The egg wrapped with a snake around it. Right? You got it? And then you have another one right next to it. That's, you know, and these are the type of eggs that sit on your mantelpiece. You don't even know why you buy eggs as ornaments or knickknacks. Sit on your mantelpiece. You have one with a crescent moon on the top or horns on the top. And you have another egg right here as in the form of a ship. Under ancient Babel teachings or Babylonian teachings, they said the goddess Astar came down in an egg and it hatched. The mother of the sun child. Now you understand each year why you have your children dunking eggs in water and it's coming out a new color, shiny. Because it says that the egg landed into the river Euphrates and came up and floated and it hatched. And when you dunk your egg in the water, it's a representation of the goddess Astar coming down in an egg into the river Euphrates, out of the water, hatching. The mother of the sun. Ancient Babylonian teachings. I'm going to read this passage here. It says here, in the sacred festivals, even as in this country, in ancient times, eggs were used in the religious rites of the Egyptians and the Greeks, and were hung from the mystic purposes in their temples. From Egypt, these sacred eggs can be distinctly traced to the banks of the Euphrates. The classic poets are full of the fable of the mystic egg of the Babylonians, and thus its tale is told by Hyginus the Egyptian, the learned keeper of the Palatine Library at Rome, in the time of Augustus, who was skilled in all the wisdom of his native country. An egg is a wondrous size, to say it to have fallen from heaven into the river Euphrates. The fishes rolled it to the bank, where the doves, having settled upon it, and hatched it. And came Venus, who afterwards was called the Syrian goddess, that is, Ashtoreth. Hence, the egg has become one of the symbols of Ashtoreth, of Easter, and accordingly in Cyprus, one of the chosen seats of the worship of Venus. As Ashtoreth, the egg of wondrous size was represented on a grand scale. The occult meaning of this mystic egg of Ashtoreth, in one of its aspects for it, had a twofold significance. Had reference to the ark during the time of the flood, in which the whole human race was shut up, and the chick is enclosed in the egg before it is hatched. Now you see, that's why you have the chicks from Rite Aid. When you go into Rite Aid, you see those little yellow marshmallow chicks. That's where that comes from. Alright? So, and it shows the goddess holding an egg with a dove next to her on the next page. Pan in on this. Okay, you have it? So now, we done broke down the Easter side of things, so we know that Christ have nothing to do with Easter. Alright? Easter was a word that was put in the Bible by the Roman Catholic Church, brought over to the Americas to have the Western world, the slaves that were enslaved in the Western world, following Gentile worships and pagan deities and gods, which are nothing different than demons. There's more. I'm going to read this here. It says, in ancient Middle Eastern, I took some passages myself out of the book, so I don't have to keep holding the book. It says, in ancient Middle Eastern culture, these pagan festivals commonly welcome worship of the pagan gods Baal, which is Satan, and Ashtor, where people would engage in ritualistic sex in effort to honor the pagan god deities and hope that the pagan gods would make the people fertile that year. Now, when you look into eggs and bunnies, that represents fertility, or the goddess of sex. Having a lot, that's why you have bunnies. Bunny lays a lot of eggs, so you see bunnies this time of year. I mean, bunnies, excuse me, don't lay eggs. Bunnies have a lot of offspring. Bunnies have a lot of offspring. So they have the bunnies, because they are very, very, very fertile animals. Then you have the eggs, which represents what? Life, fertility. Alright? It says here, so Easter actually is not biblically based, but instead derived from ancient pre-Christian pagan gods, such as the Chaldean fertility goddess Ashtoreth, who is also known as Ashtoreth and Ishtar interchangeably. But you should also know that this pagan deity is mentioned in the Bible. Associated with Ishtar was the young god Tammuz in Ezekiel 8 and 14. Consider both divine and mortal. Ishtar is a mother goddess, fertility goddess, a goddess of the spring, a storm goddess, a warrior goddess, and goddess of war, a goddess of a hunt, a goddess of love, goddess of marriage and childbirth, and a goddess of fate. You can find that yourself on rocklopedia.com. When you look into the book, it says the festival of which we read in church history under the name Easter in the 3rd or 4th centuries was quite a different festival